Adobe After Effects is massively powerful, and there's so many things you can do and so many built-in effects that it's easy to get lost. These are my top 10 effects that I use in almost every project I do for residential projection mapping. So my top 10 most used favorite effects in Adobe. Starting with number 10 is the invert effect. And invert is pretty intuitive. It just flips the colors. And so I use that when I have my map with a white background and black lines. I'll switch that to a black background with white lines with the invert effect. Number 9 is the corner pin effect. Corner pin effect gives me the precision I need to match the angle and perspective of the wall when I'm placing pictures or videos by grabbing these handles and dragging them. So that's number 9. Number 8, hue and saturation. There are tons of different built-in effects for color correction. Hue and saturation is the one I probably use the most. It allows me to deepen and increase the saturation of any colors that I have to make it look the way I want, as well as easily change colors and tints. So that makes it a solid number 8 in my list. Number 7 on my most used list is brightness and contrast. If I need to lighten something up, increase the differences between the lights and the darks, quick and simple effect allows me to dial in exactly how I want something to look. Number 6 on my list is an effect called Reptile or Reptile. Reptile allows me to take a tile from a texture, and if it's not big enough to fill up an entire wall, I can easily expand it in all 4 directions to get it to fill the entire space that I want to, with an easy way to blend it together so that it looks like it doesn't have seams. Number 5 on my list is to be able to remove backgrounds on a video so I can have a transparent background. And the effect I like to use for that is key light. Key light has an eyedropper, so I can choose the exact color of green screen or blue screen. And just by clicking on that, removes the background to make my video transparent. Number 4 on the list is drop shadow. Lighting and drop shadow, especially paired together, do a lot to make something look 3D, to add depth, to add realism to the effect. So drop shadow is one of my favorites for that. It helps these effects that we're adding look more real and 3D, especially when it's accompanied by an artificial light source, which technically is under layers, not effects. So it's not in this top 10, but if you add an artificial light to cast this virtual shadow, then it really pops. Number 3 most used effect, Lumetri color. Lumetri color I think of as kind of a filter that you can put as finishing touches over the top of your show and add some variance, some unification of the colors and textures with just some simple built-in effects from this drop-down. So with a click, you can greatly change the overall look and feel of your show and tie it all together. Number 2, something that I use all the time. Maybe it's not technically an effect or a preset, but because I use it all the time, I think it deserves to be on the list. And that is opacity, where you can change the transparency of a layer. I use it all the time. I use it as I'm lining up pictures and videos to make sure that I have it exactly on house where I want so that I can get the appropriate mask. I use it for transition so we don't have abrupt changes between scenes. So because I use it all the time, opacity is number 2 on my list. That brings us to number 1. And I'm going to cheat here too, because this is not an effect or a preset, but because it's used all the time and because it has so much power, then number 1 I'm going to put as keyframing. Keyframing lets you change things over time, and so it lets you take all these different effects and techniques and gives you more power to create the effects and the illusions that you want. And so I use it anytime I want to have movement in my show. I have it to make these shutters open and close with the wind. I use it with opacity to transition between scenes. So because of that, because of its power, because of how often I use it, that is my number 1 most used effect in Adobe After Effects.